I always get this crooked. G'day and welcome to this second video on the Ford FE Big Block. Just like all old things you buy as an unknown quantity, there's good and bad. In this, there's one bad thing and about 10 good ones. So I feel really fortunate for having had the opportunity to get it. So this video we look at putting some new parts on the engine. We look inside the engine with a bore scope. That footage is quite dreadful. I didn't set the camera up too well, and also the speech is very muffled, and I get a lot of complaints. It's my most frequent complaint is dialogue. People don't always hear it because I'm a bit of a mumbler. I'm trying to enunciate more now. I don't know how it's working, but anyway. So the speech is quite crap on it, but I'll get a lavalier or whatever they do call it, mic at some stage. I haven't got around to doing it yet, but it's going to make things a little bit more pleasant for people to view this type of stuff. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoy this 352 second part. There will be 4 videos on this, and the next one after this will more than likely be the Plymouth engine, because I'm waiting on bits and pieces that are kind of out of my control. So, without babbling on too much, hope you enjoy. So, what we're going to do, I'll lift the engine up, not with that won't be strong enough. I've got to cut these legs. Can you see those legs? Can you see the legs? Down there, at the bottom of the radiator. Raise it 200 mil, because that's where the top of the radiator meets the top of the fan, which is well above the cylinder heads. There we go. And I'll put 2 stands there. And I've got to do quite a wide cross brace. It's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is have, you know, the radiator thing so it's right the full width of the engine crane and stand it. I'm not doing that. So I've only got a couple of bits of steel. I've only got these 2 offcuts here and that bit there. So it means I'm going to have to use some of that really rotten stuff that doesn't work very well. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to take the engine off, weld it up, give it a paint job, as I always do. And I'll show you what I've got. I've got this blue Hammertone paint. Got to make it look good, right? Even if it doesn't work, at least I've got a stand for an FE and I can play around with this. But anyway, I'm going to take it off now, do the rest of the welding, and I'll be back. Complete with runny paint and bad welding. That RHS welds beautifully, but the rusty stuff in front of me doesn't. It's terrible. And the other thing is, I've got the wrong glasses, so I couldn't really see what I'm doing. I'm making excuses, don't worry about that. So what we're going to do, it's touch dry. I've got the uprights for the engine, put them back on, and we can rest the engine on there. Now, this bit here, I'm going to have stakes in there for the radiator support. There's no other way I can do it really, because I haven't got any metal. I've only got that bit left. And so I need to do a sort of a wide, an 820 wide, with a saddle on it, so both radios can go in the sort of XCXD type as well as the XAXB type, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be too wide to sort of negotiate around here if I leave it So I'm just going to have that so that I can wheel it out, plug the radiator in like that, fill it up with coolant, and off we go. But it just at least means that that FE big block is mobile. So I'm going to try and wangle it on. I can't remember how I got it out because I've got to sort of... Anyway, I'll figure it out. It's me nervous. I can't find my chains anywhere. I've got it up with a nylon rope. How do we do this? Let's have a look. I won't touch that paint run because it's bound to still be wet. Now, I took it out, sort of like this. And then I came round. I've still got some paint left, so if I scratch it up, I can touch it up. Which is going to happen. Maybe I should just go higher, go straight underneath. I'm just worried about this thing falling. Like, the ropes stretch that much. It's under a lot of duress. This thing's as heavy as hell. Yeah, it's got to come down. These stand things go forward a bit. Something like that. We'll rest on the transmission cut first. And then it'll drop down, yeah? Let's get a screwdriver. It's about there somewhere. Alright. Looks like it's all going to go in the right spot, does it? I hope so. It's going to scratch some paint, but as I've said, touch-ups. Sweet. Oh wow, look at that. Now the only other thing I've got to do, hang on, I'm just going to get the weight off it. The only other thing I've got to do is I've got to pop a hole. I'll do it on both sides. I can't remember which way they torque up, but it's only when they're under load, freewheeling. I'm not going to, it's not going to be a problem. But that's cool. That's really cool. I can wheel the thing around quite easily. I reckon it looks pretty good. What do you think? Right, well, I've been busy today, so it's night time. I think it's 5:30, 6 o'clock, something like that. And I've just got around to doing this. Now, we're going to have a look at this large block. About the only thing we need to do with the transmission is just join those two up. It won't be put under any load, it won't need a cooler. These covers, I've noticed, are in immaculate condition. There's no dents or anything. I might take those off and give them to John's Hydroblast. I've got another pair of FE heads here, covers which I'll put on. They need to come off anyway to see if we've got oil flow. The stand is okay, but the issue is I can pick it up at the back, sort of. And I picked it up before. So I might just weld a brace across the bottom and just put one sort of jockey wheel there. Just a little caster, just to take some load. Once it's got the radiator on, those radiators are heavy. It'll be a bit front heavy, so I have to put the battery at the back or whatever, but normally I have them sitting on the ground. There's lots of mozzies here, so we've got a mozzie coil thing going on. But had a hose stuck on the top. There's that, which is seal I've never used. I don't know where that came from. We might just take the leads off, actually. Hang on, I'm going to pop this on a stand. I did put a couple of things on. I put that on, and also this plate I've had made up at work to block off the fuel pump, just so nothing gets in. I mean, if anyone's going to get in, if anything was going to get in, it would have got in by now, but it doesn't matter. The more we can do, the better. And also the fan, I'll put that on just to get the spacing right for the stand. So we'll take these leads out. I intend to reuse these. Because they're all in one piece. They're 8mm. They look to be in fairly good nick. Just the coil lead. And even the coil leads, alright. Just for starting the thing anyhow. The cap stuff. But this has been sitting around in someone's garage for a long time. We've got bolts, washers. They look like original grade 5 Ford ones too. And they're sort of all over the place. There's even a wood screw here, like a self-tapper. So I'll get a magnet and just pull these out. I'm doing it from the wrong side. And this will be from a chain, I would think. There's even this. That looks like a coil bolt that goes there. I bet I'm right. Yep. Yeah, I think the coil on the FEs is there. I could be wrong. I don't know. We've got a little temperature thing. I've got another one of those. I bought some cheap gauges. Everything seems to be there. I might get some compressed air and just blow it out. Right. I think the first thing to do is get a camera and have a look in the cylinders. I'm not going to turn it around yet. I haven't turned it over. Apparently it turns over free. I don't like turning over engines that have been sitting for ages. I want to get oil pressure first. And I've got an air cleaner too. So decided to wait for the next day. I'm just going to blow it off a bit. Before I do, I've got this garage stand air cleaner. Just a cheap chrome one that I use for the running stands. So I'm just going to pop that on, so I don't want to fill it up any more than I need to. I haven't got a stud the right size either, so I'm just using a bolt. The carburetor is going to have to come off. If I can find where's the hole. So yeah, I need to check in the bowls in case any fuel got left there and it's all varnishy. I'm going to go in. It should just be a quarter 20, which it is. Beautiful. And we'll just, there we go. I'll just give it a bit of a dust out around the plugs. They're all in, and sort of around the carburetor flange and all that sort of stuff. Right, I know nothing about this thing. I bought it from a guy who came across as very honest. I asked him if he'd heard it run, he said no. And he'd had it a couple of years, so I know it hasn't run for a couple of years. I don't know, the guy he bought it from said it did run, and it ran very well, but we don't know. We don't know anything about it, so it might have run 2 years ago, it might have run 20 years ago. I've no idea. So I'm going to treat this as being an engine that hasn't run in 20, 30 years, okay? Which means, I got this from a wonderful chap. It's a bore scope. So I'm going to stick that in the cylinders and have a look before I rotate it. Might tell us if it's got an oversize. I'll put it down the oil things. I'll show you in a minute the galleries, because the oil filter adapter's been removed, and just chuck it up the exhaust ports as well. That'll tell us if it's more recent than not, because you'll see on some exhaust valves there'll be a clean section where it's run through the guide. But after that, I want to run all through it before we turn it at all. Then of course we'll rotate it with a bit of oil in the cylinders. So we'll treat it as one that hasn't been run in an awfully long time. So we'll start with the plugs. I'll get this one first. The electrode's absolutely knackered on them, so we can't use these plugs. I have ordered, that's it's loose. I've got a new set for it. Oh, that was barely in. And that one's closed. And there's a hole there, so that's good. There's no water in there that I can see. So this is just all precautionary. You don't have to do it like this if you don't want to. If you get something older, you just want to stick fuel in it and see if it'll go. You can certainly do that. I have seen on old British motors, B series motors, same sort of thing, where the bearings look alright and then they shale. And that's horrible because, yeah, these are all loose, because it chews cranks out. After, you know, there was one that I did and I thought it was fine. I put it all back together and 500 miles later the engine died. So they don't smell of fuel or anything. That doesn't mean a recent thing, but all we've got to hope and pray for is that no water, there's no rusty plugs, because that normally means there's a rusty cylinder underneath it. So far so good. This little thing's fantastic. A chap sent it to me. Oh, Mozzie. I might get the Mozzie cores out again. It is phenomenal. It's actually a really good resolution. And it's mega long. The only problem is, I've forgotten how to use it. So that's on. It's got a LED, and you can hit this button. If you look here, actually we'll pop it in the barrel. And that's the piston. Oh, actually, a bit of wear there. Not too bad though. But the other thing you can do is you can hit this button, and it shows you the side. So that's up the top of the bore, and it's marked up, but it's not bad. That's the top. We're getting into the cylinder head now, up here. But it's phenomenal. The only thing I can't remember is how to record. I think it's that one. No, that's a photo. Alright. Then we go... Movie? Is it? That's another photo. Hang on a minute, bear with me. Straight ahead one. Now that piston looks a bit dirty. looks like a bloody hole there, but I don't think it is. Doesn't look too good though. Just probably fairly normal wear and tear. That's just to where it's been fly cut or valve relief or something like that. So we're going to the next one. There's certainly no moisture in there, which is a good thing. Here we are with the pistons further down in this one. I'm just going to go to the side of the ball, and we can see very close up, you know, it's a bit carboned up. There also looks like porosity marks in it, but I'm not sure what they are. They do look like porosity marks though. Okay. The engine's certainly not brand new, I can tell you that now. Now, can I make out that oversize? I can't really make sense of it. This is 2C or something, but they look like standard FE pistons, which is all good. We're going to this one. We're in the forwardmost camera. That's the top of the piston right there. And hang on, I'm just trying to turn the camera around. There's nothing much to see there. Going for the side camera. Same sort of deal. Can we see the valves? If we turn it around, there's one of the valves. That valve's open. That's the exhaust valve, so let's go down the exhaust port. What about down this one here? Okay, so this hasn't been running, it hasn't been stationary for years and years, because that's all quite clean up there on the valve stem. If I can get the camera to go in the right spot, because I'm trying to go, yeah, you see what I mean anyway. Let's have a look down this pot. Now this has a very clean looking piston, so there could be water getting in there. Who knows? I doubt it. It's certainly not as nice as the Plymouth motor inside, and also there's a bit of wear down the side there. But it's not terrible. It does look like this engine's been getting a bit of pre-ignition. Look at the damage there. Where do we go? See there? I think that's pre-ignition damage. Hang on, I need to get back there. Where is it? Over there? Where did I just see that? There. What's this? Right, so we do have an issue here. We've got a knitting needle. That's burying into the piston. We've got a busted piston there. It'd be alright to start it. But that's all good. But that I wasn't sure of before, remember? I'm probably on the top ring there. Because that's quite deep. I'm just using a knitting needle. But yeah, no, that's less than ideal. Having said that, I don't think this thing's been bored. I don't think it's been bored at all. Let me try and get closer to that thing. I think that's the ring there. Yeah, it gets buried in there. That's definitely something to be worried about. I mean, if I was going to use this engine and anything, I'd certainly rebuild it after seeing that. I've got the exhaust there. It's been a while since it's run, but not a horrendously long time. Some of these could have buggered guides or stem seals. These valves are closed. Right, so let's go in here and have a bit of a squizzy. Okay. Straight off the bat, this has been rebuilt, and I'll tell you why, because that's not the original timing chain. They use a finger type chain in these. I've got one on the wall to show you. But that's a non-Jenny one. I don't think it's going to divulge any other secrets in here. It's just good that it looks like there's been no moisture. Hang on. Oh, it's a crank. Gee, it's clean. I can't get over how clean this thing is. That's really clean. Yeah, that's the oil pump drive. So that's just a standard hex in there. So I should have a tool for that. Here's a plate that I got the chaps at work to make. It was missing the fuel pump, and we're not using a fuel pump. We'll either gravity feed it or alternatively use an electric. We had a laser cutter. This is on a plasma cutter, but still turned out really well. I'll make a gasket for that and we can pop that back on. Also, the thing that worries me is down this area here. Can you see that? I'm just going to get a light, just a moment. Now, this looks like it's been off for a while, and I don't like that. So I'll take those out. And I've got the adapter, I bought one. But I tell you what, that endoscope, if that's what you call it, footage is really good, because now I know that it's just a typical old worn thing. Actually, I didn't have a look in the timing case. I'll have a look in there. Anyway, what I'm concerned about is this. And the reason I shot the endoscope up there is because I'm worried about what might have got in there before. Now, it has been adequately protected, so had it not been for these things that are left open, and that which is left open, it would be perfect. But I'm just going to pop those little bits of t-shirt up there, and I'll get another one for that dipstick hole. I haven't got a dipstick for this, and I'll scrape that off. I need that to be clean. Right, it's probably not going to do anything, but masking tape on a screwdriver. I'm just going to go down and see if I can pick up any snot in there, which there's a little bit. There's all drilled, so they'll be straight until you get to the bottom, which is what I've done there. Hopefully not too much got by. Jeez. Actually, I'm going to change that tape. I'll put some new stuff on. I didn't expect that. I might give that another hit. It's just a load of scaly crap. The other thing I thought of doing was getting a cotton tip with some Permatex on it. That's very sticky stuff. That's another option. Which one did I do this before? I've got to go in like that. Here we go. I'm just going backwards. That's nice and sticky. Which way does this go? This goes down or up? No, this one goes up. I feel like I'm picking my nose. Just roll it around in there. Is that oil? Geez, it's got some crap in there. At the end of the day, there's not much I can do. With a new build, you would use brushes and just get rid of it all. That could just be oil residue there. I'm going to give that other one a go too. That's the one that goes up into the engine. This comes to the filter. Well, we managed to clean a bit of snot out. The next thing we've got to do, got this adapter. And I'm just going to see something. The other thing that bothers me a bit about this, it's a brand new one. I bought a switch which was kind of dumb. That's the oil pressure switch that runs in there. But we're using a fender for these cheap gauges, but that's the wrong thread, so I'll have to get some sort of adapter for it so I can use that. This is just going to be capped off for now. That's just like a tapered gas thread. It'll sit in there. I'll Teflon it, but I intend to take that out before I use it, and that should fit right there, which it does. So Teflon tape will insulate it, which isn't what you want because it earths through there, but at the end of the day it will cut through the Teflon but still allow it to seal. Oops, get in there, you son of a gun. I made sure I had everything I needed to do this job before I started. Turns out these 5/16 bolts are too long. And I've got no 5/16 lock washers or 8mm ones. I've completely run out. And I've got no bolts the right size, which is unusual for me because I've normally got a hoard of stuff. These are off the Plymouth and they're crap. So I'm putting them in without washers, which is nuts. So it'll at least buy me some time. I can still do the testing I want to do today, but it'll buy me a little bit of time to get the right size, which is sort of halfway between there. And some lock washers. These are rusty ones off the Plymouth that the other guy, I got plated a few years ago, and I really didn't like the quality of the plating. But that's going to be fine for this, because I just don't care. And I can't even find my bloody 6-inch extensions. I'm using a busted screwdriver inside a 3/8. Oh no, that's not busted. A screwdriver inside a 3/8 drive socket. So it's kind of crazy. But I noticed when I was nipping it up, and I don't like putting bolts in without washers, but I noticed it was bottoming out. I've just got to do what I can do. So I'm not starting the thing today. That looks like 8mm. Is this 8mm? I'm not starting it today. All I'm going to do is run the drill. That'd be right. It's 8mm. Damn. The one that sort of looked promising won't work. I'm just having that sort of day. You know what I mean? So, doesn't matter. We'll just have to do it the way we're doing it. Got this ridiculously dirty, cheap Coles motor oil. Whatever the case, it will exceed what these things had in them new. So it's SL rated. These would have been like SC or SA or something, I don't know. But what I'm going to do, I will fill the oil filter in this, because I don't normally bother. Just let it pump. These are nice and vertical, you see, so it'll be fine. Anyway. She'll be right. Normally they're dry when you put them on, so you don't slide around on them. Let's give that a nip up. I might have to take it off again when I get the right bolts, but she'll be right. Step out of character and use a funnel for this. You're supposed to do it sideways, but there's no one here to help me. We'll just flush a bit of fresh oil through the galleries. You could probably actually use running in oil for this sort of thing. Just a flat 30 weight and full of zinc. Alright, we'll pop a cover off and have a look. I think I've turned the camera on too early. These might take a little while, just a sec. Ooh, rubber gaskets. Felpro is calling. That is clean. That's really clean. Just a moment. Like even under the covers, sounds a bit raunchy. That's super clean. That's a great sign, actually. I think this engine's been overhauled or freshened up sometime in the past. It's just extremely clean. Right. This has a little distributor lubricating hood on it, which is a sort of an oldie worldy thing. I was going to pull the Dizzy out because I want to run the oil pump. I think they're the same as a cleaver. I'm not really sure. It's got a tag under there, but I don't think it belongs there. I should use an open ender. It's just too hard. Until I sort the garage out, it's a bit too difficult to get to my toolbox. So I'm just using whatever's on the bench. But I'm well pleased. Oh, we've got Celastic on the push rods. That's typical. No, and take that off and put that on to line it up. And she turns very well, which is cool. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Alright. These things are both 8mm drives, I'm sure. These could be the same as a Windsor. One of them is bigger than the other, but I don't think... Yeah, they're just slightly different at the end. This looks quite thin. That's it. The only problem is the bush is a bit too short. And if I drop that in, it's a pain in the neck because... Oh, does it sit there? Who knows? Let's get the drill and just hope I don't drop that in. That would suck if I did. I don't know what I've done with my drill. I think the battery's a bit flat. Just a sec. Yeah, that's rooted. I better charge that. Yeah, it's got more balls. But it doesn't always work on this drill. Hang on a sec. Let's reverse. There we go, we're getting oil. So we should see oil coming up soon-ish across here. I'm going to give the drill a rest though. Just let it sit there and just cool because it's a lot of drag on it. I think we're good. I was watching the push rods, just a moment. I've got oil sort of coming out all along here, which wasn't there before. I thought it was supposed to come up through here. Oh, it goes to the rocker shaft, doesn't it? Okay. That one isn't doing much. But the thing is, there's oil getting to the overhead gear, which means, yeah. Oh, good. Well, it's difficult to tell on this side. I thought it was meant to come up through here. On your cleavers and everything it does, but they don't have a common rocker shaft. That's good. It's got oil. It's getting oil pressure. Happy days. Normally you can hear it gurgle. Yeah, that's getting heaps. I'd like to see more at the front here though. Although it is coming off that. Yeah, it's coming off there. Oh, that should be alright then. At least we know it's in the bearings. That's what I wanted to do. Before I rotated it, I wanted to make sure that it was in the bearings. Well, this should wind over quite... Oh, hang on. Before I do, I'll give it a squirt in each cylinder. Just with a bit of engine oil. Just going to prime the pump. That should be enough. We'll see what happens. It should be two quite easy full turns. There's a socket jammed on this thing from the last operator. That's fine, it's good. That's turning over really well. So I'll just set it up on top dead center. I'll have to static time it because I've just lost the place of the distributor because I forgot. I can't see, I've got the wrong glasses on, just a minute. But it's doing everything it should. Just gotta find the marks. There it is there, hang on a second. That's just made it worse. Might have to use some cleaner stuff. Here's one. Now, I don't know what they're getting in there. The other thing is, top dead, so that's after top dead center. Alright then, so, that's before, up here. The other thing is, it's also a good time, just have a look at the slack in the timing chain. Just stick a finger in the feeler, and there is quite a bit there. Which is less than ideal, but it's always going to happen. Fords are shocking like that. Right, so that's a bit of a bummer about that piston, because it just means you couldn't just, well you wouldn't, I mean it might last, but you wouldn't put it in a car and just use it. I'll probably use this, I know what I'm like. But what is good about it is I put that down, perpendicular to the head, made a mark there, did the same here, made a mark there. And the stroke is longer than 88.9, which is 3.5 inches. This is a 390. I'm a bit short, well, sorry, I'm a bit short on that measurement there. That's actually a bit longer. That one, if you look down, I've got dead on. unless that's uneven. I could try it again with a different method, but I'm pretty sure we're looking at a 390, which is grouse. That's good. I was hoping it was. I was kind of dubious that it might be, but that's cool. Yeah, 6.4 litres is better than 5.8. So I might put the plugs in. I might just do another stroke measurement, but I'm pretty sure I'm accurate with that. I'll just measure a bit. What we could do actually is just measure between. See if the plug holes are different. The only way to really tell is to whip a head off, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. I just don't want to. I'm pretty sure it is though. I'm pretty sure we've got ourselves a 390, which is great news. Rocker covers, valve covers if you prefer, actually look a lot better than the other ones, but they're not. I bought these years ago from a guy in Croydon. They've got little dents on them for 40 bucks. And I think I had the gold one. The other engine I had that I was doing, and I thought I'll grab these, but I didn't give them away. They're actually cooler with the power by Fords than without, I think. And so when I sold that motor, the guy wanted, typical for every buyer, he wanted it for free, and he wasn't getting it for free. I think I sold the whole thing for the motor for, how much was it? Over $2,400 for it, which was very cheap. He goes, oh, I'm looking at a $1,200 motor or something, and I said, well, I'm looking at a door, because I wasn't going to put up with that. But he ended up giving me, I think it was $2,400. Now 390s are, you know, $5,000. They're ridiculously expensive. I'm going to double check this one. I'm pretty sure I'm right. And it's a bit of a coup that, because I was sort of sussed when I saw the transmission. I thought, well, 352s would have had an MX, I would have thought. Not a, I haven't got that instrument, not a C6. And it was only by luck that the guy selling it didn't know what a C6 looked like. And I virtually didn't either. I just sort of thought it was, so I knew what an MX looked like. So anyway, I'm very happy with that result. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's all sort of munted around there. Where the other one's really clean. They look terrible, but once they're hydroblasted, they'll be like brand new. The later ones had like a flat top, like a 385 big block, but it's pressed steel like that, and they don't have that. I just think these are the coolest motors. I prefer them to Cleveland's, and I like those, and I like Windsors too, but these are just grouse. So I'll put those on. The thing I don't like about these, if you look there, it's got two fillet caps, which I think looks stupid. I do have a large grommet for the Power by Ford Cleveland ones I got. There's another dent there. And so what I'm going to do is a D-shape thing. I'm going to put that in there and use a conventional PCV, I beg your pardon. And with that Cleveland one, I'm actually going to cut that out because it's too the same with the Power by Ford, the reproduction ones. I'll cut that out, and I've got a dirty old one that I can actually cut the PCV fitting, weld it in, I'll metal finish it off and just put a normal valve in. But for this, you know, for the moment it doesn't matter. I've got some new plugs for it. Beautiful old school looking things. Just give them a quick gap and stick them in. And all the threads are good, and I'm absolutely stoked with this. It's an original bore. I couldn't see any evidence of a rebore. I mean, you would think it would have by now. But if it's an original bore 390, that's a hell of a coup. So I'll just go and stick these in, and I'll have to clean up the dizzy a bit, I think. Just giving this thing a bit of a wipe down and force fed some oil into there, and it's really free. It's good as gold. So I might just throw that back in. It was a beautiful old thing, look. Ford in the really old, yeah, we can see that there. Beautiful. Let's give a bit of grease around there, and I'll change the points of condenser over. Actually, I'm going to clean up there a bit more. Given it a static times it and gave it what I thought was about 6 degrees. Probably easier doing this on the bench, but I'm doing it on the motor because I haven't secured my vise. So, you know, I'll take the pointless out and that lead alright? I'll take the condenser out too. I've got another one of those. Just give it a big tune up. Oops. Oh no. Oh no. I'm sure I thought it'd be easier in here. Oh, big daisy chain of stuff. Right. Okie dokie. What are these points like? Not too bad. I need some pliers. 3 hours later I found my ignition spanners. Right. Is that on a loop or... No, that is. Alright, let's have a look at these. Yeah, they're pretty pitted up. Doing this is rather pointless. Anyway. It's a terrible joke. These things, right? When I was at Nissan, they had an N12 Pulsar. Could never start it. And the reason was, these have a fine oil, so you just clamp them against your overalls and run them down. Get rid of any of that oil. I'll still on my t-shirt. That's sitting on there, because it'll stop the thing running. Right. Condenser. Is that the right one? Certainly looks it, doesn't it? And I thought, you know, I'll treat this thing to a bit of a tune and watch it grow into a big, healthy Ford. Is that right there, do you think? Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. Where are the points? Okay, here we go. Some engines have a little bit of felt, which this doesn't. Some of them, you just drop a bit of oil down there. I'm running out of this stuff. You don't want much of this because you don't want it going anywhere except on the heel of the points, just to lubricate them a bit. That'll probably do it. Righto. Righto. Okay. So that has a pin that locates into there. Are these correct? Yep. Perfect. 14 thousandths maybe on these? They're not much. I know on a V8 they're not much at all. Now, let me have a looky. About there, you reckon? Oh, it's closing up. Don't close. That's a bit bigger, I think, but that's going to be a beginning. And we can check it with a test light. Well, I know at Clevo is 137265548 in the firing order, but I'm not sure about these. Which way does this go? That way? No. Does that go there? I think so. Oh man. Oh, that's better. Oh man. Oh no, we're good. It's written on the manifold. It is, what is it? 1542638. These look crap, but I think they'll work. You got these, I don't know what that's all about. They're 8mm ones, but they're kind of wrong lengths, and I could probably tighten him up a bit, but we don't even know if the engine's going to go. I'm pretty sure it will, but... Oh, I forgot the thermostat housing. I'll do that now. Cool, well done. Alright, let's have a bit of a sticky. I don't know if I'll undo that or block them off or whatever. Might just block them off. There are coolant hoses that go into the carburetor base plate. That carb's got to come off. And I'll, pardon me, take the lid off and, whoops, didn't button that down. I'll take the lid off and all that sort of stuff. I have a series of gauges that I'm getting thin cut, so I'll make a dashboard. Totally useless waste of time, but that's the sort of thing I like doing. But so the next one, I'll have most of it done, I reckon, and I don't know if we'll be starting at the next one. The only thing holding me up that's really going to hold me up, I reckon I can make a spacer. Well, we're not going to forget that ratchet. I reckon I can machine a spacer on a lathe to bring one of these out, or this one out. I think that was too... Was that too far in? I can't remember. Oh, and I've got to make a gasket for that. But I'm going to try and get away without buying pulleys because they're expensive. Having said that, I might, if I use the motor, I'll have to find them anyway. But at the end of the day, work in progress. A lot of it really depends. I'll figure out how to get around this, but the manifolds I can't do without. The spacing on the big block is far too wide for what do you call them? Windsors and Clevelands. Yeah. Those engines are the same in terms of spacing. So I even thought about taking, well, I bought some exhaust gaskets and giving them to the guy to sort of cut some flanges and buying some 302 Windsor headers because you can get them for nothing and cutting them and welding them up. But I'm not going to be able to do it because the spacing is so far apart. So I don't know. I need some manifolds. I need to buy some. Anyway, at the end of the day, that's it for now. I might do the Plymouth in the next video, actually. I've got to get that engine done. But whatever the case, take care of yourselves, enjoy it classic, and I'll see you soon.